Hey, I'm Greg Gilmore, colorist, brand ambassador, and educator, and I am here on Trendy with Allison.
Welcome to another episode of Trendy with Allison. Today's conversation is one I've been looking forward to for a while now. Mr. Greg Gilmore, y'all. Y'all better put some respect on his name because this gentleman here, he's made a name for himself in this industry, and his influence spans across all cultures, but especially within Black hair culture. I'm honored you said yes, Greg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm always flattered to be on some conversation, have good conversation about the industry, that kind of thing. I just really believe in what you're doing, pushing the knowledge forward, having these conversations, really important. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
And you've been in this industry long enough to watch cycles repeat, as have I. What do you think people are misunderstanding in today's market about hairdressing? Because I feel like it's just a whole new world. It's like the wild, wild west to me after 28 years in the business.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think that now so many brands are so consumer focused, and I think that they
Mm,
sometimes miss the mark about that disconnect between the cosmetologist and the consumer at this point. I think consumers are just not knowledgeable enough to regularly practice doing their own hair, getting, just salon type results. Although brands are really pushing their products to guarantee that they'll have like salon, quality hair. And I think there's just a disconnect there. I think it would be great if brands started to focus more on professionals, including them in the conversation, especially when it comes to education, those kind of things. I think they underestimate the amount of cosmetologists who do not do retail and who would benefit from using affiliate programs for their clientele base just to have online sales, but also catering to professionals with having back bar sizes of their products so that they can kind of keep things professional, but also still cater to the consumer. And we all have this like trio of win-win situation.
So you think they're skipping over the stylist, the brands.
Sure. Yeah,
Ah,
because at the same time, you have, you know, big name brands that have come out in recent years. Sacred, you have Fenty Hair, you
mm,
have all these things that I've heard really,
patterns.
yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard great things about them. But when I'm in the salon, those aren't things that I'm going to recommend to my client
right.
necessarily, especially if I'm not using them in my salon. Most of the times, we're not going to use those in the salon because they're not really beneficial for us to purchase economic wise. The size,
Yeah, they're not professional products.
right? They're not professional products. They're not geared towards being professional products. Plus, they don't have professional sizes, and it's too
Mhm.
of a price point to be realistic to have it in the salon. So that's the thing about that. But also, there are still brands that are professional, like Moroccan Oil. There's another brand out of Decatur, Texture Rich, which I really, really love. And so these types of brands still have distributorships. They still have marketing, directly to cosmetologists. As far as Moroccan Oil is more on the professional side with the hair color, those kind of
Yeah.
things you can't, the regular customer can't go into a store and buy that. So I think that the brands really would benefit if they like to grow, catering more to the professional stylist.
Are you speaking to Black hair professionals and the Black community or overall? Because I feel like I do a universal clientele, and I feel like the brands are just, we're inundated with brands as stylists when it comes to European textured hair. So are
Mm.
you speaking more to black hair specifically, that there aren't very many options and brands that speak to the stylist?
No, I think it's a general phrase. I think now, if any brand is, global, they're catering to all textures.
Got you. Yeah.
If they're in Ulta, if they're in Sephora, they're catering to all textures. There are brands still that are specifically favored to textured hair, especially when you get into like Diva Curl, you get into Design Essentials, you get into brands that primarily promote health in curly hair. And
Yeah.
curly hair has a variety of range from curly, coily, wavy, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So some brands specifically target just the curly texture of hair, and it could be European texture, it could be black
Right.
texture. But I think that, there's a strong need if you like to talk to the black market that is there for attention to the professional. In my experience, most Black women are really lost in the aisles when they're looking for particular products to use on their hair. They're not educated enough to know what might work on their hair. So they're still seeking advice from their stylist. If stylists aren't being educated or aren't being let in on the technology behind certain products and how they work, then they can't guide them correctly either. So,
Yeah, that's true, and they have the same go-tos, don't they?
right.
It's, Shea Moisture and, Miel and,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm surprised I don't know them all by heart,
Yeah. And
what
I think
comes out of everybody's mouths.
Okay. I think those brands are, good basic care,
Yeah.
home care brands. However, today's client is getting much more heavy duty services in the salon. They're getting color, foliage, placement, and those things require something a little bit more specific to the integrity of the hair. And then those things need to be used in a particular way that they're not
Yeah.
overused, because too much
Mhm.
strengthening could make the hair brittle, but also too much softening can make the hair too soft and break that way too. So there's this balance that you need to have, and you need to have the professional help you, guide you through that process.
Yes, do you hear that, clients? You still need us. You guys have social media, you have YouTube University that you think is teaching you everything you need to know, but it ain't everything you need to know. So,
Exactly.
Greg, what worries you most about where our industry is heading? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, where our industry is heading, honestly, I think our industry is heading back to hair care. I think there has been,
Okay.
a whole, plethora of women who in the early 2000s adopted the naturalista phase. They went
Mhm.
natural. They did all the experimentation with different products and not working it out. And now maybe, 10, 15 years, even 20 years has gone by, and they don't necessarily have a lot to show for that decision. They're still, struggling as far as quick and easy ways to style their hair before work in the morning. They're still having a harder time with the rhetoric of all the steps needed to maintain wash and go or curly hair or two strand twisting it at home and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so now I see more of an influx of women coming back to the salon, requesting relaxers, remembering a time that they had an easier at home regimen, which when you get your relaxers, roller sets, things like that, all you needed to do was wrap your hair at home. So I kind of feel like people are coming back into that mode of just styling their real hair. I think after a while, if you've done cornrows for so long, when are
Yeah.
you going to just be able to sit on the couch with your man and, not have the wig on? You know,
Exactly, like, when do you get to just run your fingers through your hair again, right?
okay, well, maybe he won't.
What are so relaxers making a comeback? Because I get the sense that they are, and I follow Patrick Bradley, do you know him?
Yes, I love Patrick.
Yeah, and he's amazing just like you, of
Always have.
course.
Hmm.
But he has his own brand of relaxer, correct?
Right. Hmm.
Have you tried it?
Yes, I love his relaxer system. It's really great for color treated hair. It gets the hair, straight as, whatever straightness you would desire. And it keeps the hair's integrity intact, so it works very
Yeah,
well.
because I see them doing blondes with
Mhm.
relaxed hair, and it looks so healthy, so good, so much movement, so much
Mhm.
shine that I'm like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
got me second guessing my years of not
Okay.
relaxing my hair again.
I know, I know. I think that, relaxing the hair is a great option for some women. I still have clients whose coily texture can be so tight that it actually hurts to manage it in that state. Combing
Mm,
through it, their hair is delicate. They may be tender headed, that kind of thing. And then always, you're not always able to come up with a particular look that the real hair looks great for when she's going in the office, for when she got to do her one,
yeah,
two at the event. People oftentimes forget the versatility that we've been gifted in texture. It can be worn straight, it can be worn curly, it can be worn in its natural state. And so it's such a pliable, workable fabric of hair that
yeah,
you should not limit your creative expression with just one way of wearing it. You can wear it straight. And if you like the straight look and you'd like to have an easier time with it, the relaxer is a great option for you when done professionally. Because when it's done professionally, you have different things that are considered through application, through maintenance, through what to do's and what not to do's, and how to
mhm,
keep it healthy that need to be considered. So
yeah.
I feel like it's a great option. People shouldn't like sleep on the relaxer at all.
Ooh, well, they've been asleep for some years now, like you said, like about 20, but I think they are definitely making a comeback. Okay, Greg, so I love this part of the show,
Mm.
and I call it "Say It With Your Chest." All right? So
All right.
here's how it works.
Yes, ready.
I'm gonna throw some statements at you. Just tell
Mhm.
me agree, disagree, or it's complicated, then tell me why. All right? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Skills matter more than branding.
Disagree. Do you want me to give the reason afterwards
Yeah,
or?
give me the reason, absolutely.
Okay. I disagree because, you don't have to be the greatest hair cutter or the greatest colorist to still have success in the industry. As long as you have great branding, great marketing, you have a loyal clientele base, and whatever you're vibrating like is what you will have in your seat. Your vibe attracts your
Ooh.
tribe, as I always say.
Ooh, I
Mhm.
like that one. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Imma steal that one.
Okay. So branding is all about promoting what your vibe is. And so if your vibe is healthy hair, regimented hair systems, that kind of thing, then you'll have people come that are really interested in those types of services.
Yes, I love that.
Mm,
Very good.
thank
Alright. Luxury pricing has diluted real talent.
you. Agree.
Agreed. Tell me why.
Yeah. The whole thing about pricing, you do want to, offer reasonably priced things. You want to differentiate yourself between if you are, having just great premium quality service versus, expensive luxury services. And I think that when you price, you have to get your worth for skill. But when you go up on price and you go into an expensive or luxurious state of that skill set, then it needs to come
Mhm.
with a lot more. The client has to be accommodated in a lot of other ways, like the aesthetic of your salon, the experience they're going to have, the professionalism, the types of products that you're using. All those things really play a factor in, that price point. If for some reason you're unable to eh, provide that elevated experience, and sometimes you're not, just because it's more work, especially for a lot of stylists that are just in suites, You might have a system where you want to get them in, get them out. Then that
Mhm.
means that, you have a clientele base that values efficiency, time, and quality. And so
Yeah.
that doesn't have to be a luxurious price if they're going to be coming regularly. It can be something that you systemize and they are able to have an expectation of what they're going to pay every time because that keeps them coming. They don't have to
Yeah.
always, guess what the price is going to be when they make an appointment.
Yeah, no, I mean, well said, absolutely. Because, and I think we'll get into that just a little later, but I think the pricing is not matching the experience because people will pay for something they feel has value.
Right.
It's not the price itself, it's the value of what you're spending your money on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go next. Social media has hurt fundamentals.
Oh, strongly agree.
Ah, okay,
Strongly
do
agree. Strongly
tell.
agree. Well, I agree because I think that now, with social media in the workings of everything, it's more about how it looks on camera. It is about the aesthetic of it versus the qualities per se. It can look really good on camera and that kind of thing, but is it lasting? Is it breaking later? Is it healthy for real? For real? I think that social media has played a large part in if we're doing fundamentals or not. I think also because we have a generation that skipped a lot of the fundamentals, they
Mhm.
are in a situation where they've grown as stylists. They could have been doing hair maybe 5 years plus, and so they've gotten by without the fundamentals. So
Mhm.
sometimes they don't feel like they need fundamentals. They haven't been in the industry long enough to see trends change and come back, where
Yep.
they're thinking that the lace fronts will be forever. They're thinking that
Yeah.
people are always going to be doing extensions forever. And they probably
But
will. But, the
it won't be on the forefront.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mass majority tends to have a, an intelligence, and they adapt as things are discovered. And so much on one road, you start to discover things like, oh, my edges aren't doing good, or oh, my hair is not as healthy. I used to could like put it in a ponytail, or my hair was real thick when I was in my 20s. It's not as thick
Right.
now. And so then that genre will start to look for hair care. So
Mhm.
I think that the fundamentals are very much still important. And
Mhm.
everyone that still does fundamentals, I would say, has somewhat of an obligation to still promote that side of the industry if we're going to keep our industry professional and keep respect on it.
Oh, yeah. And thinning hair is something else, and it's starting to happen, like, with clients in their 30s. I'm like, Something's happening." I don't know if it's in the water, if it's what we're eating, but I've never seen so much thinning as I do now, and these are people that have never worn extensions.
Yeah,
I'm like, "What is happening?"
I,
I mean, up in here, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the food we eat, our lifestyles,
Yes.
stress. You know, I think people really underestimate stress. I've been getting very much more into well-being, wellness practices. You'll probably see a lot of that from me in 2026 because self-care, self-care includes health. It includes mental,
Yes.
so
Mhm.
all of those things that happen with the hair are external, but those external appearances tend to
That's what I'm
reveal
feeling
a lot
inside.
of what's going on internally as well, either emotionally, health wise, all of that. A lot of women who've been sitting in my hair that have gotten like finer hair or finer edges, they've been low on iron, you know.
Mhm.
And so once they go get their blood checked, they see that the doctor or whoever tells them they're really low on iron. They start,
Yeah.
impacting their iron again, and then they have the hair start filling back in. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's small
Yeah.
things like that, and that's why I say it's a combination of like food, how you're distressing, feeling, all that kind of stuff, because our food isn't as adequate anymore to give us the sufficiency, the nutrient
Yeah.
things that we need for our body. So we're starting to see
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. And current, that's exactly why I started the new year on my page. You'll see me talk a lot about
that.
cortisol.
Mhm.
And me and my community, we're on day 4 of our cortisol reset, and that's your stress hormone. And to your point, I agree with you 100%. Stress is the cause of all things. When your cortisol levels, they're elevated all day and they shouldn't be. They're supposed to spike in the morning, go down low in the evening, but your body, that's your hormone that tells your body it's in danger. But because of our poor habits, it thinks we're in danger all the time
Okay.
because we're skipping meals. We're overstimulated with these screens. We don't sleep. We don't wake and sleep at the same time every day. We're all over the place.
Right.
So I challenged my community 7-day reset.
Mm.
And I go live every night at 8. I have all the printouts, the meal plan, the shopping list, all of it. One for hairdressers, one for general, and I'm on day 4. And honestly, Greg, I feel it's all about resetting your circadian rhythm
Right.
and what your body naturally wants to do when it's not on coffee, when it's not on sugar and all these stimulants,
Right.
right? And so I'm really learning my body. I'm like, oh, so I get sleepy at 8:30, not 11.
Okay.
Okay, I got it. And all of your supplements, they can't touch your bad habits.
Yeah.
Like you can take magnesium till the cows come home, but if your whole day you spent off, right?
Mm.
You weren't eating, you did hit cardio for 3 hours, all the stupid stuff that we do.
Okay.
If magnesium can't overpower that stuff. So that's kind of what the reset is all about. And I could go on all day about health and wellness because it's my favorite thing.
That's
But we're going to get back into this.
I can tell
So,
your skin looks great.
oh,
It
thank
looks like you
you.
maintain a healthy body weight. All of that. So
I try because this is my last year in my 50s, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay,
last year in your
so
50s,
my last year.
you
So when I
59.
turn I'm 58 and I'll be 59 in April 18th.
Wow, girl, you look good.
Thank
You look
you. I
good.
wasn't
I
fishing
would
for
have
compliments.
never thought that. I would have
Really?
thought maybe 48, something like that. Not even
Ooh,
like you looking good, girl.
I will take that.
Okay.
They don't come as often as they used to, so I take every single one I get, okay?
Okay, right. I feel you. They need to listen to you.
Well, thank you, 'cause I'm gonna start sharing more of me on my page, and so, yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and let them know
Alright,
your
so
age. Because that's the
I
wow
know,
factor right there.
we with our black skin, we're so lucky.
Okay.
I will say that
Yeah.
it to the end of my days. I would not, if God said, "Kim, you can pick any race, anything you wanna be, what do you wanna be?" I wanna be this black woman all over again, 1,000 times over. Alright, so, Greg, black hair culture still isn't properly protected.
Mhm.
Agreed, disagree, or it's complicated?
Well, I would say it's complicated. I think that, there are a lot of instances where Black culture is exploited. It's exploited at a certain time for a certain means, to gain from it and that kind of thing. I think the problem there is when it is exploited, but it's not acknowledged. It's not acknowledged
Mm.
where this inspiration came from, or this they're not using this as an opportunity to expose the beauty of the Black culture and where that comes from and who
You mean
influenced.
like the bonnets?
Yeah, like the bonnets.
Like the bonnet, mhm.
Right. And I think that, there's a mix up there because I don't know if I'm gonna say this right, and I hope I don't offend anybody. But I think that also at the same time, Black people have a responsibility as well to represent well, and
Mhm.
not just cry when people take what we've been doing for so long and elevate it. You
Yep.
know, I think that because of our circumstances, our past, our history, the things that we've gone through, our family trees and DNA, we tend to have been disenfranchised for so long. We've had missed opportunities. And that doesn't really lend for a lot of inspiration behind us going outside sometimes, how we'd like to interact with each other. We're, being uncouth a lot of times about what we do. Sometimes
Mhm.
be ratchet. And I think it just kind of comes from a level of like, I don't care. We've been held down so much. It's like, to you. And
Mhm.
that mentality sometimes can leave us in a disadvantage when it comes to representation of how beautiful some of our ingenious or our ingenious nature is. We're able to make do with a little. We're able to make things stretch. We're able to take scraps and, turn into something so, miraculous and amazing and beautiful. And sometimes those things aren't given the respect that they deserve when we're not providing an example of what the respect should look like for that, And so,
I think you said that beautifully. And it is hard, right? It's sticky because you don't want to offend anyone. While at the same time, there is this underbelly, I believe, in our culture where we get a little woe is me sometimes.
mhm,
And it's like, first of all, there's nothing new under the sun. There really isn't. I mean, if you think about the bonnet, for example, when we were little kids, we were reading storybooks and the wolf had on a bonnet. Like,
yeah,
I don't know who created the bonnet. Do you
okay,
really know? I don't know.
no,
It's to your point. It's like you said, who's going to do it best? Where it's going to shine, right?
hmm,
That's really at the nature of it at the end of the day. And even when you look at Marcel irons, that was a French guy,
right, hmm, I was,
that created the Marcel iron. So, I'll see posts where you'll have a white stylist using a Marcel. Oh, they take everything from us. Well, that wasn't us, but that's okay. You know what I mean? So it's just how you represent yourself, to your point, is everything. That's the key.
hmm. I think we have a great and unique way of popularizing things, of making good use of something that had been overlooked. The perfect example is the pressing comb. Yes, it was French
Mhm.
made. It was in the Marcells as well, but we took that and we used it
Yes.
so well, and we had so many
Mhm.
options on how you could use those things. That a lot of times that's what you will see Black influencers, Black
Yes.
ambassadors, Black educators do with a lot of products and product brands. We
Mhm.
will find different ways to utilize products in outside of what they're just been uh
No, we are very good at reimagining and repurposing things like got to be glue gel became wig glue. I mean,
yeah,
and hard hold hairspray
okay,
made it tacky and for wigs, right?
yeah,
So you are 100% right.
yeah,
I think that we are so talented in our imaginations. I think that's the gift we got from our oppressors
right,
is to the just the it forced us to be creative because we didn't have and things weren't available to
hmm.
us,
I
right?
just don't
And you can take that Marcel and make those curls all shiny and bouncy. That's the gift,
yeah,
not that who created it, is
mm,
what my point was.
right. I just don't want us to get lazy about it. I think that's the thing too. I was listening to Dr. Daniel Black, who
Okay.
is a professor of African American Studies at Clark University, and
Okay.
he speaks about back in the day when Harriet Tubman was leading people up to the north, and Frederick Douglass was writing by moonlight. They
Ooh.
weren't really doing that. In their wishes for us or for the future wasn't that we would be in the big house, or that
Uh,
we would be able to create something lower thinking, like just have a nice car or have like a nice house or whatever. They
right.
were struggling and striving and continuing on so that they could prepare for that next generation to have the same amount of grit, to have the same desire to
Mm,
live through whatever circumstances. So I think today we may get a little bit
too
beside
comfortable.
ourselves. Yeah, a little bit
Mhm,
comfortable with the liberties that we actually have, and we
mhm.
get a little bit lazy on the slightest things that we feel are injustice or that we feel are not representing right. There's a need for us to demonstrate our art, demonstrate our beauty, our skill in the way that would make remind you of Harriet Tubman, that would remind you of
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass, not in this very indifferent way, or that's how we get it, we down, da 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 da. And we sometimes do that because our ingenuousness has come so easy to us. You know,
Yeah.
there's a certain way that there's presentation, and
Yes.
presentation matters. Presentation gets the attention of someone. The way that something is rolled out, the way a product is rolled out, the way a technique is rolled out, the way we speak about things in a manner, you know,
Yes.
should be
Yes.
considered, and sometimes they're not. And then we cry when someone has taken it and presented it differently on a better way, so to speak.
Yeah, because you dumb yourself down. You have a brilliant idea, but your delivery is so poor that it's not taken
Ser-
for its greatness.
mm,
Where someone else can see it and say, "Ooh, I can pick that up, dust it off, shine it up, and re-present it
yeah.
to the world."
Hmm.
And you almost can't be mad at that because you have a choice how you carry yourself.
Right.
And to your point, like you want that same grit, that same pride we carried even with shackles,
Yeah.
right? You had some pride there, and now it's kind of, you can't ride on the coattails of all of those that made this possible forever. So you
Yeah.
still have to stand tall and represent,
Mm.
right? All right, Greg, education has become content instead of training.
Mm.
That's deep,
Education
huh?
has become content instead of training. Right. I do strongly agree. Uh,
Okay.
and I do agree with that because today's influencer who's doing well knows that posts are more popular when they have value. And value comes from the education. If you're going to give techniques and you're going to give all the secrets, that's what's going to make people watch. And so then, yes, our content has created a window for all of our secrets to go out, all of our education to go out. And then I think it devalues the education because it's so easy to see, it's so easy to get. And so I still believe strongly in education and you paying for the education because it's what separates excellence, basically. You have to be
Right.
excellent to have a desire to put that money up, to go to that class, to practice,
Yes.
and get that
Yes.
thing right. And then you have this courage to put it on a person and to do that again and again and again. And then you have the courage to tell someone else about that. So it takes excellence to even continue your education because it's a way of thinking. And I think that it becomes devalued when it's just seen all the time to the customer, to the people who just on Instagram, they seeing how to do it. So now, when you're doing a certain thing in the salon, they might want to check you and say like, "Oh, is that really how you do it? I thought it was a 90
That
degree
part.
angle." And they'd be like, "Excuse me, what you know about 90 degrees?"
Right.
Right. Well, I
They
know
know the language, don't they?
he pull it out like that. Ain't that 90 degree? You know.
You're like, "Mhm." No, I definitely hear you, and I had a guest on, when I first, let's see, a couple of years ago, Sana Brado, And she said, she's a haircutting educator. She says, you can't watch your way to excellence.
Mhm.
So that supports what you said. When you are physically hands on learning a skill, that is so required to master
Mhm.
anything. All righty, Greg. Longevity matters more than relevance.
I would agree. Longevity matters more than relevance because if you just go based on relevance, is that necessarily fact? Is it
Mhm.
necessarily of substance? Whereas with longevity, there's more probable cause that it's going to be of substance, that it's going to be
Yeah.
truthful, that it's going to
Mhm.
be factual. Longevity also includes experience, and experience is always the greatest teacher, because you've, tried this particular technique, maybe that is whatever the discussion is about, so many times. And you've tried it on
Mhm.
this texture, you tried it on that texture, you tried it on that texture. And so you've concluded through the experience that this is the best way, or that it should be done like this. And so, whereas just, at the moment is because someone is popular right now, or
Yep.
because they are shining right now. And so,
Mhm.
everything that they say, just because they're shining right now, might not necessarily be true. And so, then, what do we have to look forward to if everything that they say is what's taken and it's not weighed against anything factual or true, you know?
Yeah, 100%. All right, so that brings me to my last one. It feels, because it feels like sometimes the loudest people win, not the most skilled. Do you agree with that? You know,
Hmm.
in other words, are we rewarding being seen more than being skilled, or is it more complicated than that?
It's more complicated because you can't fault someone for being seen, because
Mhm.
you can't always divulge what their experience has been. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of, things in that sense come from preparation, meeting opportunity, meeting, somebody who knew somebody,
Yep.
and you have the moment, and the moment takes you, somewhere, and now you're visible and that kind of thing. And so, those combinations mix up in different values, like you could be skilled to the max and still get the opportunity, or you cannot be as skilled and still get the opportunity. So those show up in different ways, where the visibility is just happening to whoever it's happening to. What was the other analogy? Being visible and then,
Are we rewarding being seen more than being
yeah,
skilled?
right. And versus, so like the skilled person has practiced their craft, they're, done all the things, but they're missing the part of social, working the room, meeting the people,
Yeah,
exposing themselves, putting themselves out there,
yeah.
walking on the stage. You can be as skilled as you want to be, but if you don't have the
Mhm.
courage to walk on stage and say that I'm skilled,
Mm,
then you may still continue to be in the background. And so that's why it's
right.
complicated, because the ones who are really winning are the ones who are skilled and being seen, because
Correct.
it's a combination of working both. And so it's unfortunate when someone who is not as skilled takes the place of someone who is skilled for the spotlight. However, it's not any less deserving for them if they've taken the initiative to put themselves out there. You know,
Yeah, good
that's
point.
it's complicated.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Absolutely. All righty. So, woo, we got through those. I
All
loved
right,
all of your answers.
thanks.
You know what still surprises me? How many stylists tell me they've never heard of Virtue Lab products. Found Virtue back in 2017 at a hair show, and I've been hooked ever since. I use it on myself, like this beautiful flourish right here. It's their hair thinning line. There's a full system, there's a shampoo, there's a conditioner, there's the density booster, one that's drug free, and the other one that has minoxidil in it, which is amazing, you guys. If you haven't tried these products, please do. And it's one of the lines I actually stand behind as a professional. Here's why it's different. Virtue is the only hair care line in the world that uses human derived keratin called alpha keratin 60 KU. Because it's human derived, your body recognizes it as its own and actually accepts it. We all want products that truly heal and repair hair, right? Not just make it shiny for a day. Virtue does that. It literally fills in the cracks in the damaged areas, strand by strand. So, you guys, trust me, you'll see results after one use, but after 5 washes, honey bunny, the hair will feel like a completely different head of hair. Soft, strong, and actually healthy. So if you're ready to stop masking damage and start repairing it, I know you're ready. Shop Virtue through my link today in the description. Support the show, support your hair. You'll thank me later. Bye. Let's get a little messy for a minute. We're going to put our pearls down. We're going to take the pearls off, put them on the table,
Okay.
and perhaps step on some toes for a second. Can we go there, Greg?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. All right. I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is a celebrity hairdresser? I mean, like for real. Do you think that title is watered down, or does it still hold weight like it used to? Because I honestly, I look at red carpets. I'm going to recap a red carpet with the guests later today, and I'm always looking at the hair. What the hell is a celebrity hairdresser?
Right.
I want you to tell me.
Okay. Well,
You're in the thick of it. Tell me.
right. Well, celebrity hairdresser is a title. It's a title that one can pick up from having worked with celebrities. Now, does the celebrity hairstylist title hold weight? It depends on the consistency of your work with celebrities. And I think the majority of people can differentiate that amongst themselves. You know, you can look at a stylist and you can see their portfolio and you can see their work and tell if they're a real celebrity stylist or if they're not. Celebrity stylists usually have a name at some point where you recognize the name or you've seen the name somewhere and or you've recognized the work, whether you have recognized them or not. And so that is what substantiates a real celebrity stylist from one that claims to be a celebrity stylist. If you've just done one celebrity stylist, I personally don't think that you're just a celebrity stylist now. I think that you're still an artist, and some people refer to me as a celebrity stylist. I actually do not prefer or refer to myself as a celebrity stylist. Sometimes you may have seen me say celebrity stylist on camera, but that's because whoever I'm doing that shooting for really wanted me to say celebrity stylist, you know?
Okay.
And it could be my own paradigm that keeps me from working with celebrities more too. It's always kind of, mixed up and complicated. However, I've worked with a plethora of different celebrities. I've had great moments, like substantial moments, like turning Toni Braxton blonde with her short hair. She
Ooh.
never had been blonde
Ooh.
before.
Well,
She,
that's credibility right there. You are a celebrity hairdresser. Are you kidding me? Yeah, Toni Braxton is a bona fide star.
Yeah, for sure. However, in recent years, I haven't worked with any celebrities. I've worked with, I turned a lot of celebrities blonde. Tiffany Haddish for the Venice Film Festival, Storm Reid for the Met Gala when it was her first time going. And I've been known for these very unique blonde tones and that kind of thing on particular notables. Even some real prominent figures like Congresswomen. I can't think of her name right now. Lee, that is the governor of Sacramento right now,
Okay.
California. And, those have been really great moments. However, I just don't like to. I never like to look like the ones that say like, "Oh, I'm a celebrity stylist," just because I did.
Mhm.
I had a few of these moments. I think celebrity stylists are one who work on with celebrities all the time on the regular basis. Every season. You see them all the time, and so you don't see me all the time. Um,
Like a Chris Appleton,
Right.
somebody like
Chris
that.
Appleton, like Ursula
Ye
Stevens,
Yeah,
Ted Gibson, those are celebrity stylists. Those people tend to put in the work with really staying booked, busy, and they have help because, they're usually signed to an agency that gets them work, that kind of thing. And then you have a younger plethora of stylists that are constantly working with celebrities as well through their booking agencies and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
celebrity hairstylist as a title is just that, it's a title, and people can use it, abuse it, and all that kind of stuff at the same time.
As they do,
Mm.
and I've done, a few myself, and I rather do my, CEOs, doctors, and, my regular people, if I'm honest, and, if I never get another celebrity again, I'm fine.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But
Uh-huh.
it's I mean, they're good for hype. They impress people when you say you've
Yeah.
done XYZ. I haven't done enough people that I would call myself a celebrity stylist. I've just done celebrities, if that makes sense.
They do represent a pinnacle, you know, they
Yeah,
represent a
yeah.
pinnacle of achievement, that your skill
Mhm.
set had been so well received that it made
Yep,
it to the height. And so it's still always great as a resume, as, something that you're going to put on your
absolutely.
portfolio, and they reflect the times. So during this time,
Yes.
this was the height of what I've been, doing and thus far. And sometimes what you're known for may not necessarily be trending at this time. Not to say
Right.
that what you're known
Yeah,
for doesn't have
yeah,
credibility, you know.
that's
So
right. Yeah.
right now I'm not trending, but I probably will be trending again at some other time, you know.
Yeah, when hair was more natural, I was amazing, and then with I had a whole bunch of athletes' wives, and then when the wigs came, I'm like, "Okay." Then they went with the wig
Right,
ladies, and it's
right.
fine. You know what I mean? Because I don't wanna do that.
Yeah.
So, when
Right,
you're ready to come back and get your natural healthy hair going, I'm your girl.
right.
Greg, some people say the industry is better than ever. Others say it's more chaotic than ever. Where do you land?
It's complicated.
That was the other segment.
I know.
You you have to pick a side. If you had to pick a side, would it be chaotic? Because I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire because we're in our messy phase. Would it be chaotic or would it be better than ever?
I think it's chaotic. I'm gonna lean more of the chaotic side than better than ever.
Mhm.
Because if it was better than ever,
Mhm.
we would still have open floor salons where we just came to work. We didn't have to deal with the clients directly. We could just have
I'm
the
telling you.
receptionist make all our appointments and tell them when we can be seen or not seen. We would have off days. We'd have benefits, and everybody would be making money doing their part. You know. But now, now you have a lot of one man shows, and you got to wear all
Yeah.
the hats and stuff. So it's chaotic in the sense that we're overworked. There's a lot to keep up with all the time, especially as an independent stylist. And even if you're a celebrity stylist that does set work, or you're a session stylist, that's not
Yeah.
all it's cracked up to be either, because it's a lot of running
Sure
around,
ain't.
a lot of
Mhm.
taking gigs last minute. Maybe if you had plans, canceling them, not having set off days, you got to work, 7 days a week straight because you got different gigs and different jobs that you're taking and need to take to pay the
Yep.
rent. And then, you can still be in the salon, but you're very strict about taking the days off, which causes you to have to say no to clients personally. Clients are also always becoming more personal, which you can't really help because it's just a nature of
Yeah.
the business. And so you have to kind of have a bad cop Either you're going to be the bad cop with yourself and your clients, or you're going to have somebody else be your bad cop to tell them they can't come in on this day, or they can't talk to you right now, or you're dealing with too many clients, so you can't come in today last minute to fix something. So it's
Yes.
chaotic now.
Yeah, no. Oh my gosh, you're so right. And then, not to mention the pricing, and you are the business and you got to tell them it costs more, and it's right, they're right in front of you. You're like, God,
Uh-huh.
a loaf of bread don't have to do this. You just go to the
Okay.
store and it's got a whole bunch of layers
Yeah.
and you just got to buy that. But me,
Yeah.
I got to explain myself
Yeah.
because you're talking to me like,
And it,
oh
yeah,
God.
and it's difficult even to customize the pricing, because with particular things, you're weighing stuff on density, on the health of the hair, what you're trying to pull out of your bag, to make
Right.
it happen. The length of time, the processing, the application time, the foiling, all that kind of stuff. And what's the value on that? We've been here all day. What did you expect?
Literally.
And then did it even come out right? Because maybe it was a gamble anyways, and so then in
Right.
her eyes, what has the expectation really come to? I spent 10 hours of my time, but it didn't come out quite like you wanted it to. So who's right, wrong, there. So it's very complicated right now,
It is. I mean, and chaos is the word, ain't it? Good
mhm,
Lord.
chaos.
No, I agree with you. And lastly, on this, what are we losing right now that we won't ever get back? I think I heard you say it as you said what I think, that big salon, that ease and flow, that just going to work. I feel like we are never going to get that back. What do you think?
I think, yeah, like the salon being a community, being a place that you go for refuge. There's so many dynamics to why it's not, different things have been exposed. New generation has come in and doesn't really want to work like we used to work.
At
Um,
all.
yeah, and they don't see the value in the education versus the pay. The commissions, the percentages of the commissions just don't feel fair to stylists anymore. And so, who's winning more? It's not enough exposure to what the expenses are going to for the or for the commission based worker to have faith in the system that they're working in to keep the community alive. And then booth rent, of course, is just lose lose. There's a cap on the salon rent to have improvements, to scale the business, to have education in the salon. And then, with the booth rent, what they say goes at their station. There's a
Yeah.
disconnect on, products and systems and, value and pricing and, so salon culture pretty much is probably dead. And, it's, and
Never coming back.
yeah, yeah. I tried,
Oh,
but it just didn't
that
work.
makes me sad, but,
But sometimes,
we'll see, right?
yeah, we'll see. But sometimes you let go, and the moment you let go is when you embrace something new that you didn't expect. The old
Yeah.
relationship you can't let go of. You don't see anything other than what this was. But when you finally let it
Yeah.
go, you start to embrace something new, something that you didn't see before, you didn't expect, and never thought could happen. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the next thing is as I fully let go of the idea of that.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I agree, and that is well said.
Mhm.
Well, let's end with your legacy, Greg, because you've already made your mark in this business.
Right.
So, what's the biggest misconception people may have about you?
Mm. I think the biggest misconception may be that I've made my mark. I don't think that I've made my mark as much as I see is possible for me. I think that I'm still in the mind frame of growing and evolving, and I haven't really gotten my full stride yet, because in the past, all the things that I've done, in the middle of doing those things, I've always felt like I was, stumbling, and I might have a little run, and then I stumbled again, and I'm picking myself up, and I'm reevaluating this, and and it's always been in this thread of working with real hair and trying to keep that alive, and where does that value add up in today's trend as it goes up and down and goes to wigs and goes to this and goes to that. So I've always felt in this whole time that I've been always still catching up, or always still balancing, rebalancing, repurposing, rebirthing, rebranding. So I don't think that I've gotten to the point where I'm just, I've been just striding, just striding on. I think what examples are for me with just striding on is like Vidal Sassoon, or Fakai,
Yes.
or
Yes.
I even would say like Ursula Stevens and Ted Gibson, and they're still, galloping and pivoting, and you know,
Yeah.
so I think that would be a big misconception, is that I've really made my mark, and my legacy is out there. And of course, Maya
Mhm.
Angelou has said it best: your legacy is all the people that you've touched, and
Ooh,
not
yes.
necessarily this big grand establishment that you left behind, or this cut that everyone got to do, like the Big
Mhm.
C or the Kelly cut, or the
Yep.
point cut. It's really the lives that you've been able to touch, people's perspectives that you've been able to change. And so that's why I continue to go on podcasts. I continue to talk. I talk to stylists all the time, no matter what level they're on, because that is the real work. The real work is just
Yes.
being of service, and we're in service. We're in service
Yeah.
to do our part in making our communities better, and in our part in doing that as cosmetologists is instilling confidence in everyday people that sit in the chair, even if it's one by one, head by head, every single day. A positive word for her, a positive, analogy for another, a good inspired idea for someone else, because those are the things that ripple out into the world and create a better world. Because they go out and they plant seeds, and they do a different action now that they've been changed from you in your chair, or they see a different way of doing something at work, or they have a different perspective of the person that they've been hating for a long time. It's all
Yes.
but it's all this interconnectedness that we're involved in, and so
Yes.
because I see that broader idea of things, I feel so strongly about still leveling with my everyday clients, still working with them, still working with stylists that are not as good as me, or haven't been doing hair as long as me, still
Yeah.
continuing the conversation like we're doing, having lives about things that we don't know or we need to know, and still working with brands where I might be the only one that you see that is chocolate, but that's also an opportunity for people to have a great representation of what they don't know a lot of, or a lot
Yeah.
about. And so my grandmother, when I was young, she been a deaconess all my life. She's since passed, but we used to go to
Mm.
conferences every year, and it was the National Deaconess Association. And at the end, they might take this big picture, and so she'd be the only Black person in that picture, And I always asked, wonder, like, why did you continue to do that? You like the only Black person in it.
Yeah.
And so she said that, because I come in to show them what Black people are really like, because they may not have ever interacted, or they may not always interact with Black. And so then that gives you another sense of purpose when you're in that room. And it's just a conversation that needs to be had. We're sometimes not in that room, or we're sometimes one or two, or one of two, or whatever that's in that
Yeah.
room.
Yep.
And so those are the reasons why I still am am a part of those rooms, and still take those opportunities, and still, go and show myself at, Premier Orlando, or Behind the Chair, or whatever, because sometimes the representation just needs to be there.
Yeah, and in the podcasting world, I believe I'm right there with you because
Mhm.
doing hairdressing podcast that's universal, like mine is. You know, it's my world. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Mm,
I came up in Tony and Guy. I
okay.
was trained by a European company, so my clientele is very extremely diverse, as are my friends and people, you know, I come in contact with every day. But sometimes when they see your skin tone, they don't relate to you being able to help them, you know, like,
They
I
lose,
always say I huh?
they lose confidence.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, and I have a name that doesn't necessarily reflect my ethnicity. Kim Allison, what is that? She could be anything, right? And so when my clients refer me people, I've had in the past this happen, you know, the client will walk in, white client, and they're like, "Oh, you're Kim?" I'm like,
Uh,
"That's me." You know, your coworker's hair that you love? Yes, that is me. Same girl, right?
mhm.
Skin color shouldn't matter. But anyway, it's always been fine, but there is that barrier for us.
Yeah, yeah.
We are always the only one, and I'm being in Arizona, I'm used to being the only one. That
Mhm.
was my whole life. It's better now,
Yeah. Woo.
but,
I already know because I taught a class out there one time at
oh, yeah?
Sally Rogerson's school. Are you
Oh, yeah,
familiar?
yeah, uh-huh.
And Sally Rogerson actually was my first teacher at Sassoon, like it was
Ah,
like over a decade ago. Um,
wow.
like over 16 years probably. And she asked me to come do a class at her school because she was opening that school. We had always kind of kept in touch over the years here and there and that kind of thing. And so you never know, like, you know, where your opportunities may come from. But
You
I
don't.
taught a class out there, and there were, you know, Black people that had traveled so far and, you know, just in the Arizona area because of that same thing. You know, it's very
Yeah, hard to come
they don't,
by.
right. They don't have a lot of black there. They don't have a lot of texture
Mm-mm.
and that kind of thing. So it was a need for that education there. And so I understand that when you said Scottsdale, I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah, 2 of my buddies, my hairdresser, Tony and Guy, buddies, they worked for her, Misty and Karen. They were instructors at her school.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
So,
Love
I've
style.
met her because one does her color, one cuts. So
Hmm.
I've met her. Yeah, she's really cool. All right, Greg, I thank you for coming on. And one thing you don't know about me, I am the queen of games. I
Okay.
win every game night. I stand on my skill set.
Come
All
on.
right. So nobody gets out of here without one of my games.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm
All
ready.
right.
Come on.
This one I call booked or bounced. Okay.
Mm, hmm.
Meaning bounced from your chair. All
Right.
right, so I'm gonna give you scenarios. If it's booked, you take the client, right? If it's bounced, they're not making it to your chair.
Right.
So no explaining unless you want to, but first instinct only. All right?
Hmm.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Client brings 10 inspiration photos, all different.
Booked.
Shows up late but says, "I don't mind staying longer."
Bounce.
Ask your price, then says, "Oh, well, my last stylist charged way less than that."
Bounce.
Says, "Do whatever you want," but winces every move you make.
Bounce.
Wants luxury results on a rushed timeline.
Bounce.
Says, "I trust you," then micromanages every step.
Bounce.
Books a major transformation without a consultation.
Mm.
You take that. I think you book
I,
her.
I would book her. Depends on it's complicated, but yeah, I would
Okay.
because I like
You would
trans.
book her. Okay.
Mhm.
Compliments your work but complains about the price.
Bounce.
says I saw this on TikTok and hands you their phone.
Book.
Has realistic expectations and respects the process. Trick question.
Book. Say it
Yes.
again. The last.
Anything exciting in the works that you can share with us before you go, other than coming on this podcast, Trendy with Kim Allison? Anything
Oh,
new? What you got on in the pipeline?
okay. Well, I'll be working with Texture Rich, which is the brand that I spoke of before, and we have an amino release coming out. It's a smoothing system, and I'll be teaching a class on how to do that in February, which I'm excited about in Atlanta. So the dates will be coming out soon.
Mhm.
I have a few different salons that I'm working with to do some education through Moroccan Oil this year, so that I'll be coming to their salons. And I'll also be doing some of the trade shows this year and doing a
Okay.
class, pixie cutting class. So the first one up is ABS in Chicago. It's going to be April 18th through the 20th. I'll be teaching a
April
class.
18th is my birthday.
Oh, wow. Look at there.
Look
Serendipity.
at you'd think 59 on that day. Like,
Woo.
ooh, she's
I'm going to
59
remember
today.
too now. Okay. I'm going to be like, yeah,
You gotta send me a birthday shout out.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, but yeah, I'll be doing a pixie cutting class at ABS. I'm slated to do a pixie cutting class for Premier Orlando in June. You may see me at Behind the Chair this year, not sure. And just, I have another thing that I'm going to be dropping soon that's still top secret. But hopefully
Ooh.
I'll get it. I want to get it out before March.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see what that thing is. I'll be watching, I'll be waiting. I
Okay.
appreciate this conversation so, so much. I think people needed to hear this perspective, and yours was amazing, incredible. Where
Thank you.
can my audience find you, Greg?
I'm on IG at Greg_Gilmore. I'm also on YouTube at Greg Gilmore Artistry. I'm on TikTok as The G Touch. Okay. And my website is Modern Heritage. Heritage is HAIRITAGE.com.
Perfect. I will see you next time. Hopefully, I'll have you on again sometime in the future.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Bye.